Here, I always get that little frisson delight. The title screen flashes up there, and I know that it's going to be another episode. No gas, all guts. And my stunning driving prowess for the whole world to see. And now I'm going to let you see some of the secrets behind No Gas, All Guts. And you'll start to realize, man, that's how he does it. You won't really be worrying much. Anyways, I got this thing. Look at this. I had this for a while. Well, I don't know. I had it for a couple of years now. Because now they got a fancy one. They got the Quest 2. That one works really well. Anyways, don't matter. This was the CD one. They got the Quest 2 out now. I think people are having a really good time with it. It's got different capabilities. In some ways it's better, in some ways it's not as good. I don't know if I'd buy a Rift now, even used. Well, I would if they were cheap enough and they were working. But if they're kind of expensive, I would be a little bit concerned. Because it would be a terrible thing to try and repair, I suspect. Oculus Rift, the company would probably try to do their best, but it's a difficult thing as technology gets old. But I really recommend, if you can afford to do that kind of stuff and you got the time and you got the stomach to do it, the VR world is an interesting development for games. Not the first person. I'm probably the oldest person I can think of. That's not true at all. I probably have a whole YouTube channel and just make videos of my ridiculous friends and the ridiculous thing that they would do if I put a VR headset on them and stuck them into various different kinds of games. We're going to go and do it in Automobilista 2. And so for most of the driving simulators, VR is the thing. It brings simulators to life. In first-person view, it's what they were made for. And so most of the games that they got out now are pretty good too. You can battle demons with swords. You can be an undercover operative soldier. There's one I saw where the guy floats down the river in a kayak and infiltrates some kind of bad guy base. Doesn't look very interesting to me, but supposedly, for people that are playing it, they say it's really good. And a lot of times when you end up playing a game in VR that you would think is one thing in the regular 2D world, and you play it in 3D, and it turns into something else altogether. The horror games, in particular, in VR, take on a new dimension of making you feel uneasy. If you're not affected by horror games, it probably doesn't work on you. But if you're not affected by horror games, you're likely not watching me talking about this kind of stuff either. So I'm not really too concerned about that. Anyways, VR for driving simulators is fabulous. I don't do it all the time because it's so fabulous that it gets kind of intense. And there's, I think, a reason why all the best Formula One drivers are a whole lot younger than me. They've got little, infants like Max Verstappen. He's not an infant anymore. He's a really good driver. It's amazing. At one point in time, he was really, really young, and that was the controversy behind him starting out. And so you got Robert Kubica. He's a wonderful driver too, but he's an older guy like me. It's not anywhere near as old as I am. What am I thinking? So, getting dragged away, I was just mentioning that for VR, for older people, it's a good way to see just how crazy things like F1 racing is, because the reality of F1 racing is split-second decisions made at 250 mile an hour or something. But we're not doing that today. We're just driving around in AMS. I think I can manage to make it work so that I can fill your ear with my mindless chatter and play the game at the same time and try and stay on the track and not make too much of an ass of myself. We'll find out. I see that my internet stream is giving me a bit of a problem, so it'll be interesting to see if this works. We got it running here right now. Can close that maybe. So then I'll just switch over to, I think I got that one. Oh, there's me. Like that. And then if I do this and put the headset on, I have to keep my hat on. I like to wear my hat all the time anyway. I'll put it on under the headset because you get kind of sweaty. And so it works very well too. Where the hell are we? I don't know if we escape out of here. We'll restart. Center up the screen a little bit. So for me, put my gloves on. I must look absolutely ridiculous. Okay. What do I look like? I can't see myself right now. But I imagine I look like one of those little red bad guys that Batman rolls over in like 20 seconds. Bad guys who think they're going to be real bad. Wasn't a very well thought out costume or scheme. So, anyways, I think it looks pretty nice and sharp for you. From my point of view, with the original CV1, the resolution is a bit of an issue. It's almost like playing an old video game. But as soon as you start actually playing the game and getting into it, that all sort of disappears. Adding a little bit of movement to it, to the fact that you feel like you're sitting in a car, makes all the difference in the world. So we got our old friend Bobby Dobbs, and we're in this lovely Ultima. And you know what? I'm going to just jump out of here for a second, because it doesn't take long for this to load up. I guess we'll put it on there. And we'll just take a quick look at the Ultima. I feel kind of bad from the other day when I was talking about the Reiza car. Oh, it's the Mr. Reiza car. This is not. It's the Ultimate GTR, which is this thing here. 540 horsepower. This particular version that they've modeled here is 540 horsepower. It's got a V8. It used to be Lee Noble's Noble car, and then come along and they take that engine out of it, put in a V8, Chevy V8, and then all the good things that come with the Chevy V8. So now when you buy this as a kit car, I believe they come from England. There's a guy in California that also has this. I might as well look at it in the showroom here. 6-speed sequential transmission. There we go. We'll just let that kind of roll around. So anyways, you buy the bones of this thing, which is, I think, most of it except for the engine and transmission, and then they'll ship it to you. I think it takes a little while to get it out of the factory and to you. I suspect it's because they're probably pretty busy. I can see how a lot of people would like to have one of these. Feels like we're rolling along the floor. It's funny. I wonder if we were standing up, like it was a stand-up kind of experience. I wonder if we're going to go right through the floor. No, that's not going to happen. Uneasy feeling. So then they ship it to you, and it comes in a container. And then you and your brilliant friends with all your expensive tools and lovely, clean, warm shops put in Chevy V8, and then they recommend Porsche transmission. I think 6-speed. This one's got a 6-speed. I don't know what the modern version is. They probably have 8-speed gearboxes for them now. And it adds up to a bunch of money. They're $135,000 or something for the basic kit. And then a properly prepared Chevy engine doesn't come cheap, as well as the Porsche transmission. It'd be lovely if you get one out of a wrecked Porsche. I have no idea how the people that deal with vehicles like this, how they actually operate. I picked this one and made sure it was blue because I was partially inspired by a fellow that I saw on YouTube when I went to go do my, as I say, bare minimum or research about this car after embarrassing myself by not knowing what it was. And I come across an interesting character. His name was Humble. We're going through the pillar now. That's nice. And he has a YouTube channel. I think it's something. It's only, I can't remember exactly. Something like DriveDriverDriven or Driver. It's like drive 3 different times. I'm really sorry that I can't remember it. If I made scripts, if I put any kind of effort into doing this, we wouldn't have this issue. It looks like a Volkswagen with the engine in the back, but that's actually just the transmission. So it's a mid-engine car where you sit in front of the engine. Look at the size of the tires. Oh my goodness. It's made out of like the lightest stuff you can possibly get. Oh, I'm practically drooling thinking about it. But so Humble had made a series of videos about his experience because this was his dream. So he somehow got it together to get one, and he gets the car and made a bunch of videos about building it. And then he campaigned it around in race series for part of a year, and then unfortunately, and of course, these days, here we go back to the pillar. And of course, these days, his tragedy is all captured on video. He didn't crash it or anything. He's just driving, having a great time in his nice fancy race car, and out with all the other cool kids. And something went very wrong with it, and he pulls over and the thing lights itself on fire. And he fortunately got out. Nobody was hurt. And the car wasn't smashed or anything, just very badly burned. He makes a video a couple of weeks later showing the car is fine on one side and the front's all right and everything. The whole area, like where I'm looking at right now, where the gas filler is, there'd been some issue there. And the fiberglass or carbon fiber, I imagine it's kind of the same thing these days. It all had to be replaced, as well as all kinds of stuff on the inside. I'm sure it must have been just soul crushing to do it, especially when you think about that you're going to have to go through the process of waiting for parts from the factory. And the factory's never quite so friendly. They're great when they want to sell you the brand new thing and get all the stuff, brand new car. They're happy to do that. But when you're calling it, oh, I need the brake caliper on the left-hand side. Oh, that's all I need. And they'll happily sell it to you. But you might end up waiting for 6 months because they got other more important things that they have to deal with. I don't know why I'm making excuses for them. Maybe they don't do that. Anyways, he ends up, I see that he put the car back together and he's driving around again and everything's happy. But he itemizes how much one of these things costs, because as soon as we don't go right through the pillar. It's not really a pillar, I think it's a beam, isn't it? If you go searching for this, one of the main questions is, how much does one of these cost? Because if you're anything like me, lots of people are. The first thing you think when you see something that's that nice is, wow, how much does that cost? And he itemizes it, and it comes out to about $170,000, which is in American funds. And I didn't calculate it, but just the Canadian ballpark, I'm thinking, is $250,000 by the time you change all that money around and all the bits and pieces. Thankfully, you only have to pay for it, $50,000 or $60,000 at a time, so it's not so painful. But we're lucky because we get to go drive around, and about the closest that you can get to it, I guess. So we are. So if I can figure out how to get out of here and back into, look at this, it says back. Good. We selected it. We're at the road course in Brasilia. Okay, there's going to be a test, right? Start, big corner, another big straight. And this thing, which feels like a straight, it's got a corner in the middle. You don't really think about it that much. This is all right. Got to get that relatively tight. High speed, high speed. This usually catches me unaware, and I go too wide on that. And this isn't so bad. You go, oh, that's not so bad. And then this one lulls you into, oh, this is all going to end so well until you get to this, which is second gear, sometimes first, or else you're off the track. I'm already thinking about planting a vegetable garden right here, because I continually go off the track, and it's like nature is telling me something. Maybe I should have a garden plot there. And then this one here and this, these are both fun. This is just get into it, go, nice and smooth. And this is kind of, you can go through this as fast as you want. I'm currently negotiating with myself about how to do that corner. So, I'm actually going to take my keyboard and put it off of me. Pro tip to CB1 owners is that when you lose the little piece here, it goes for your nose, it's kind of good because it doesn't let much light in, but you can always sort of peer down your nose to have a little bit of a clue where things are. So, press start. I'll put this glove back on. The camera, I just gave the camera a kick. Let's hope it wasn't too bad. Doesn't matter. Looks like No Gas All Guts has been replaced by his Borg brother. Driving, see, there's those little tips. I don't know whether you can see that. We're just practicing right now. So I can kind of do as many laps as I want. Just blether about it. We're back in. Oh, this feels so nice. I was talking about that. It's sort of what started this whole thing with this Ultima was that this car, I hopped in it without thinking too much about it. I thought, wow, is this thing ever nice? I love this. Turn that into a hockey stick there. And what's coming up here? This is this. When I get warmed up and ready, I think we can come through here pretty fast. Probably third gear. I don't know. Okay, we're coming up on that one that I was saying that catches me kind of sleeping. So if I turn in earlier, I should be able to get there. We got it. And that thing's the same thing. Got to turn in a little bit earlier. There's actually all these infield corners are pretty specific about how they want to be dealt with. So this isn't so bad, but this next one, that's what I was talking about, where this is second gear, maybe first, first this time around. And then we can just get on it. This is the get on it corner. feel. Third gear. Sort of feels like it's sliding, losing it around that corner a little bit. I imagine our tires aren't too, they're probably quite green. Going down this straight, I'll see if I can get a picture of the tires up. There we go. Nice. I love how, even with tracks you're not familiar with, once you've been driving for a little while, you sort of, I guess your brain learns how to compartmentalize it. And it feels like you just need a few laps going around before it's familiar enough you can start figuring out the places that you want to push, places that you can't get away with it. Yeah, this thing, that one seems like it comes around really quick. So hopefully for the beginning sim racers that are watching this, because they're about the only people I can think of that would get any real benefit from watching any of my videos. No, first gear. No, that's through in second gear, but that's because we weren't pushing it. So anyways, back to those poor people that are just starting up with this. There's no real secret to doing it. It's a whole bunch of practice. And so there's nothing to stop you from getting in your little sim rig that you've either purchased or built for yourself, or whichever way you end up with. Even you poor people with those consoles and controllers, you don't need my sympathy because you're all doing great with those. You're great. Anyways, the only point is you just get in and drive. And when you're on some kind of track that's frustrating you, you can either keep practicing on it until you start to figure it out, or you can also just go anywhere else and try any of the other different tracks. And so it's a wonderful freedom to be able to do that. You know, there's no rules, there's no other players necessarily are saying, oh, do it like this, that's the only way you can possibly do this. It's you and your introspection and whatever kind of observations that you can make that are going to help you to slowly go a little bit faster and learning better lines, better technique for driving, because there's so much to learn. I would really recommend this thing where you drive around and try to make videos and try to come up with something to say to the paying customers out there, because it gives it that added bit of immersion, because you're just trying to concentrate to get around the track, but you can't because you've got this goofy conversation that you got going. That kind of makes me think about what it's like when you're racing and you got 2 or 3 other people on your back and they're going about the same speed as you. They're trying to get past. And so it's that added little bit of pressure that really makes you drive faster, closer to the edge of your ability, because you're trying to compete. I think that this is probably a great thing to do for your nervous system, to put it under sort of harmless pressure so that it learns how deal with, different sets of problems all the time. Because your life is not going to get any less complicated as you get older. So if life seems complicated to you now, well, it probably is. But it's probably not going to get any less complicated. What's really going to change is you're just going to get better at dealing with it. Whatever kind of stresses that you have personally in your own existence, right? So driving around a race car is you're kind of distilling a problem down to sort of very, very basic pieces, because there's no multiple ways to solve. In many cases, a lap time is a lap time, and there's no arguing that if you're doing 1:14 or something, and then I'm not even looking at lap times right now. If you're doing 1:14, everybody else is doing 1:12. Well, there's obviously some different approach to those other drivers, whatever they're doing on the track. So I find it very satisfying. I like trying to solve riddles and trying to figure out things that I don't know. And so just about anything on a racetrack answers the bill there. Whether it's the temperature of the tires, or your caster and camber, the way your roll bars are talking to each other, Dampers, oh my God. But it's great, you go sim racing, and if you want, you can spend hours and hours and hours with all that stuff. If you want to be really successful and competitive, you're going to have to deal with that stuff. But you don't have to. You can be like me and have fun. Okay, so I haven't seen any record. I wonder, you know what? There's probably lap times. We've been generating them, but I'm not seeing them. So, what button is that? Feeling for it in VR. There we go. Okay, what do? We did 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 seconds. I'll bet you we can go way faster if we concentrate a little bit. Okay. I'm going to start straight. Hi, Mom. I'll try to not wreck the car and bring it home for supper. That corner you can go through so much faster, I'm sure. That was not a good way to go through there. I think if I was doing this properly, really pushing this car, you'll see when I go through a corner, rather than just, like, not that corner, this corner is a good example. Watch how many corrections I end up making on this corner. Of course, when I talk about it, that one would be a better example. Look at that, went wide. So when you see a bunch of corrections, you'll see going into the corner, and instead of just turning the wheel and holding and then slowly modulating it around, end up, like this one there, was too wide. It's weird trying to do it there. Too many corrections. And each time I'm doing that, I'm losing a little bit of time. Beyond, We want to play What is No Gas All Guts Doing Wrong? We're going to be here for a long time. He's riding the curb. Look at that wild man. What do we do this time? 157. Turn it quicker. Get on it. Let's go. Engine noise in my ear is just lovely. I know that for you people out in spectator land, I can't put it up so loud for you, because then of course you'd all be complaining. You go, no gas, all guts, we can't hear you. We want to hear what you say. We want to be like you. No, I don't want to be like me. Kids, don't be like me. You know who the best person to be is? You've got to be you. That's who you got to be. I bet you we can get in there faster. I got to remember. I'm always kind of nervous when I come out of that other corner before that. I just got to come in a little bit faster maybe, so it's more horrifying and reacting out of terror. Maybe I'll go faster if I do that. Couple of corrections there. I'm gonna do some left foot brake in there, I think. I'm going to do this time 155. Okay, well, you can see, you know, all you little no gas, all guts aspiring imitators out there. I know you all want to be like me. You want to be one of the cool kids. You know what? You already are. You're already one of the cool kids. You've probably been one of the cool kids since you were born. You didn't even know it. Somebody come along and tell you that, let you know you believe in yourself, because you're one of the cool kids. And so you could be one of the cool kids too. And so you get in your little driving simulator, you wait till whatever goes on sale at Steam, because you know it's going to happen. You can judge when it's going to be way cheaper is right after you buy it. You'll get an email telling you that you can buy the same thing for half the price. And get in your little car and go chasing around. It will take you literally minutes to get as good as I am. And then your career after that is limitless. You could be a famous streamer like No Gas All Guts. You could be a legend in your own mind if you want. I highly recommend that. Think we went any faster? No. That might be one of our self-imposed ceilings for the time being. We'll try another couple of laps maybe. There's another car I want to have a go at, which is equally as ridiculous as the idea of No Gas All Guts driving around an Ultima GTR. But you'll have to wait a minute until you find out what that's going to be. Oh, this is so nice. Kids, if you're wondering what to buy old No Gas All Guts for Christmas and stick it in my stocking to make old No Gas All Guts really happy, an Ultima GT4 and a year-long track pass at well, just about any kind of racetrack would do fine. Go wide, cut in. That was one of the better times we did it, but didn't really gain a bunch of time. Just felt better. So we'll make that little note to ourselves. So at some point in time, we'll learn how to do that corner better. But even for all those, those little no gas, all guts wannabes out there, I don't blame you, because I am pretty cool. In a few laps, we went from absolutely shit, 2 minutes and 2 seconds or something, to a point where we're actually improving. If we kept doing it and really thought about it, we would get past 155. I don't think we're going to. Yeah, that was our fastest one. And it's not like it would be impossible. It's just, it's another level of concentration that you got to pay attention to. Beyond that, start paying attention to the way the car is set up, so that it feels better for the way that you like to drive it. We're going to go too wide there. Look at that. I think that's our signal. No gas, all guts. You just leave it here and we'll come pick it up. Leave it on the track there. Put it in neutral. I wonder if I mapped any of the keys. There's the brake bias. We didn't even mess with the brake bias or anything. Yeah, we even mapped the key. So if I press this, I can exit right out of here. That. Oh, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop out of here for just a second. I'll stop the stream. But then I'm going to come right back. In fact, I'll even just leave this here, and then I'll stop it and start again. And then I don't have such huge files that I have to deal with. So, how can I do that? I don't have virtual desktop. If I had that going, I could just do it in VR. But I don't have it. So I'm going to take the headset off for a second, a bit. I go like that. So that stops the stream, I think. Let's do a quick check. Nope, it doesn't stop the stream. That does something else. I'll tab into here. Oh, my mouse is stuck in a corner. Why is that? This could be a disaster. Let's go back out. Alt tab Rooney to there. We'll do that. And the mouse is still stuck. Why is it stuck? We don't know. So we can't stop that stream. Oh, don't worry about it. What the hell? It'd be a great big file. I don't want to care. And then I'll tab back into mobile stuff, maybe. We might have crashed everything. Look at that. I don't know. I'll try and do this. Okay. That says we're back up. I wonder if we get back out of here and back out of here, and we're just in the home screen. So if I go now, yeah, so I can do that.